So hey, my name is Dondre Brown. I'm the founder of Young Money Finances, also known as YMF. And some of the things we do through YMF is we empower children, teens, as well as families to take control of your finances. But we also do it in a fun and engaging way. So what I wanted to bring to our YouTube channel is just like a snippet of how I prepare my 7 kids on how to best manage their money. So I'll be providing like transparent conversations, things that we kind of talk about, but also little experiments that I do with my kids because I love to give them opportunities to develop their behavior, but more importantly, become aware of the decisions that they can make with money. So what I want to do is I want to talk to you a little bit about spending triggers. I'm a firm believer of for your finances, to take control of your finances, that's more behavior, right? If you can learn how to be more disciplined and learn how to focus more on your behavior, then you can become a better steward of your money. So if you're a parent and you want to teach your kid about money, don't really get too lost in the numbers. Really focus on the behavior. I tell people all the time, finances is 20% numbers, 80% behavior. And hopefully this story that I have for you today can kind of show that. So what I do is my kids work for me through my organizations and my companies, and I pay them money. The reason why I pay them money for actually working for me as opposed to allowance, because one of my philosophies is as a worker, right, living in my household, you don't get paid to take care of your house, right? You get paid to do additional work outside of your home, right? So things like doing the dishes, all those other things where typically families like to pay allowance. I don't do that. That's the expectation that we have in our house, to take care of our household. But what I do is they do have projects. They do have certain things that they accomplish. Like my daughter in the background, she's actually creating our money managing kits, putting them together because we have a lot of people buying them. I'll put a link in the description that talks about our money managing kits. There's some great videos that talks about how those money managing kits can be used to help people learn how to manage their money. So make sure you click that link below and go check it out. And if you want one, just buy it and we'll ship it to you. But anyhow, so for 5 of my 7 kids, they have the green light card. The green light card is a card that allows me as the parent to pay my kids money for many different tasks and things that I have them to do. The other thing about the green light card is you can set savings goals, you can set spending goals, you can create many different types of goals, or the kids can do that. So it's a way that everyone, including the family, they can all learn how to manage money together. But what I did was each one of my kids has a card, and I encouraged them to go and spend some money, right? I said, look, put this amount of money in your spend column, and then you can go to the store and do whatever you want with the money, right? I didn't really tell them what to spend it on. I'm like, you can do whatever you want with the money, right? For some parents, they're kind of like, oh, right? And for me, I really didn't know exactly what was going to happen, so I was kind of open to what that process was going to look like. So 4 of my 5 kids ended up going because one child, she kind of allowed her emotions to impact her ability to, do something with her own money, which is another lesson in itself. I'll be shooting a video on, emotional intelligence and helping kids develop that behavior. But going back to my kids going to the store. So they went to the store and they came back with stuff, right? So as a parent, typically as parents, the first thing we do is like, oh, you shouldn't have spent your money on that candy. You shouldn't spend. I didn't care about what they spent their money on. I really cared about the spending triggers behind what made them spend their money on something, right? And again, spending trigger is defined as a behavior that is the gateway behind, or the reason why you do something with your money, right? The motivation behind your spending, right? So I wanted to observe their spending triggers. So my kids come home. One kid bought a lot of chocolate, right? We have a lot of kids, our kids and teens that do that. Maybe you have some kids do that. And this child started tearing up the chocolate, right? He started eating it. He was going in on it. I had another child who brought it in, took one bite and left it on the counter, right? It could have melted, just like left it there, right? And then I had another child who bought some candy and wanted to share it with people, right? I thought that was pretty dope. And then I had another child who didn't buy anything, right? So for me, I just sat back to observe that behavior because, again, we're focusing on behavior. I didn't care what they spent their money on. I just wanted to see what was the motivation behind their spending. So we had a really great conversation about my observation of how they spent money. So for the first child who just bought something and tore up his like chocolate, like that's typical of a kid, right? You just see money, you get it, you go buy some candy and you eat it, right? That's pretty average and pretty normal, at least in, you know, the kids that I've encouraged, taught, educated, things like that. But then you have another child who bought some chocolate, took a bite and just let it sit there all day, right? So the behavior behind that and the conversation that we quickly had was, if you're going to buy something, take care of it, right? It's not enough just to buy it and then just don't take care of it, because it could have melted, someone else could have taken it, anything could have happened. So when you have your money, make sure whatever you purchase, you're taking care of. I don't care what the cost is, right? We always focus on the cost. But then for another child who bought candy, right, and wanted to share with everyone, right, high empathy, right? That's very responsible spending in our world, right? Giving, serving, etc. But the conversation behind that is just being careful about, you know, making sure you take care of yourself first. Right? It's very important to buy stuff for everyone, but, you know, make sure you take care of yourself first, and then ensure you're not overspending or spending all your money on everyone else, making sure that it's included in your budget. And then for my last child who didn't buy anything, money is a tool and resource, right? It should definitely be used for something. It doesn't mean that it has to be used right now, but be conscious of wanting to save everything and not spending it on something. So for me, honestly, all my kids, I think they did what they were supposed to do with their money. There wasn't a wrong answer, a wrong approach. I think it just, it helped to have a more conversation about how they're aware what their default spending triggers, right? And for me, it was a great experiment. I'm going to bring more conversations like this to the channel. But as a parent, I encourage you to do this. Give your child or help your child earn a specific amount of money, and then allow them to do whatever they want to do with that specific amount. This is they can do what they want to do with this amount. Allow them to do something with it, and then observe their behavior after they purchase it, right? Not purchasing it, but after they purchase it. Are they giving it to someone? Are they saving it? What is the why behind their spending for that? Because again, we're here to help our kids increase their awareness and also become aware of their emotion and their behavior behind their spending. So before we jump off, hopefully you like that story. It was so much more funnier than that. I thought it was a really great story because my kids, they are very open-minded. They love to talk about some of these things, but we're just building some of that emotional intelligence and that awareness. But what I want to do is I want to end with some common spending triggers that you can even consider yourself or talk to your kids about. So let's look at these spending triggers. So the first spending trigger is achievement. Achievement is a spending trigger because it lends itself to like spending money on ourselves. That's the motivation behind it. Or it's when you spend money to increase your knowledge or a skill, like paying for college. So kids usually are excited or encouraged to spend money on themselves as a form of achievement, or adults, right? Think about a time where you're like, look, I'm going to spend money on my education or my certification, right? It's a form of achievement. But then you also have admiration as a spending trigger, right? It's about the image, right? Not approval, right? But what do you think is cool, right? It's all about your perception. That's why you spend your money on certain things. Then you have a spending trigger that's called amusement, right? It's spending on things we enjoy for the thrill of it. So let's say you want to go buy a motorcycle or something. It's the thrill that you really seek. Or if you want to spend tickets on roller coaster admissions, right? You want to go to an amusement park. That's what you're spending your money on because you want that thrill. That's typically a spending trigger. Then you have relationship, right? Spending money on others without expecting something in return, or gift giving, right? One of my kids did that. They just bought something and just wanted to give it away. She didn't say, hey, you owe me for, right? You owe me for buying this for you. These things are really important. But then you have approval, right? Spending money to fit in. or spending on others and expecting something in return. A little bit opposite of relationship, but a lot of us can fall into this trap, right? We look at social media, look at a lot of different things going on. We're like, we want to spend money because they're doing it in that way, or we want to spend it and expect something in return. That's a whole nother video, a whole nother conversation, but that's something that think about for yourself. Do you fall in that category? And then finally, responsibility, spending on an obligation or a belief, right? Spending on a belief that, or spending on an obligation like such as rent, utilities, making sure that at the end of the day, you have to get these things done because these are needs and not wants. So that is responsibility. Here are our spending triggers. Again, try these out on yourself or your kids. If you have some money and you need to spend it or want to spend it on something, what is the why before and after you purchase it? And then after that, talk to your kids about some of these spending triggers. Hopefully you liked this video. We're going to come with a lot more videos, fun and engaging. I'll have my kids talking about some of their experiences. But again, this is Dondre Brown, founder of YMF, also known as Young Money Finances. If you have any questions, I'll leave my contact information below. But make sure you go check out our money managing kits, check out our website, because we're here to empower kids to take control of their finances, because we will be the last generation that starts from scratch.